The air conditioning unit in Marcus's corner office seemed to be working overtime, but a sudden, desperate heat surged through me as I read the revised compensation letter. My eyes snagged on the number, a clean, brutal slash through my annual earnings. "It's a strategic realignment, Chloe," Marcus said, his voice dripping with practiced, oily regret. He slid the letter back towards me. My signature was the only thing missing from the document that just cut my salary by 50%. I kept my hands flat on the desk, pressing down on the polished wood so hard my knuckles turned white. What the hell just happened to her? I pushed the paper away, my jaw tight. I forced myself to meet his eyes, every muscle in my face screaming to stay neutral. "Does this realignment affect Alex's pay, Marcus? Is he taking the same reduction?" I knew the answer, but I needed to hear the lie. Marcus's composure wavered for a split second. "Alex is managing the critical riverfront client now. His compensation is stable." The truth hit me with the force of a physical blow. I wasn't a budget problem. I was the funding source for his favorite, less skilled associate. My smile, when it finally broke through, was a thin, tight line of pure distilled venom. "My name is Chloe Vance. I'm 31. I'm a senior architectural drafter, the one who catches the quarter-inch errors that cost millions. I didn't just need that salary for my mortgage. I needed it for my mother's continuous care. When Marcus made that cut, he didn't touch my paycheck. He threatened my family. It all started 6 months ago, when my grandmother passed and left me something Marcus never knew I had. I fled to the empty stairwell, the raw humiliation finally giving way to desperate, choking sobs. I pulled out my phone. A new text from the Pines Assisted Living Facility. Urgent payment due to cover medication adjustments. The weight of the world, the medication, the nurses, the constant bills, crushed me. I couldn't quit, but I couldn't survive on half the money. My anger didn't explode, it calcified. I wiped my face and walked back to my desk, a dangerous calm settling over me. That night, alone in my small apartment, I obsessively checked my bank accounts, trying to stretch a number that simply wouldn't stretch. Then I opened the obscure, password-protected account tied to the property. Uptown Towers, my grandmother's quiet legacy, a 12-unit luxury apartment building she managed for 40 years. I had left the formal management to the estate lawyer, Mr. Jenkins, since she passed. I needed to take control. Now, I called up the tenant roster from Mr. Jenkins' digital file. I scrolled through the unit numbers, the names meaning nothing, until I reached the top-tier penthouse unit. Unit 19B, the name next to it, printed in neat black font, sent a jolt through my entire body that was equal parts shock and exhilaration. Marcus Thorne. I pulled the lease. The signature was unmistakable. I threw my head back and laughed, a loud, short, terrible sound. He cut my salary in half. He has no idea who owns his roof. I called Mr. Jenkins first thing. My voice was cool, steady, and utterly decisive. "I need full, immediate legal control of the property management for Uptown Towers. Everything related to Unit 19B, sent now. I'll be handling that lease personally." Mr. Jenkins sounded slightly flustered, warning about the complexities of New York rental law. "I understand the law, Mr. Jenkins," I replied. "I intend to follow every clause to the letter." I spent the next 48 hours immersed in Marcus's ridiculously dense 40-page lease. The document was a relic from the 90s. I finally found it on page 32, a clause so specific it must have been written for a different era. The lessor retains the right to implement significant market rate adjustments and utility cost restructuring following major property capital improvements. Major capital improvements. Bingo. I returned to the office, deliberately quiet and subservient. I approached Marcus. "Since my pay has been reduced, I need to maximize my output. Could I take on the detailed blueprint review for the Riverfront Plaza project?" "I'll do it after hours." He beamed, misinterpreting my professional hunger as desperation. "Good initiative, Chloe. It's yours." He printed the plans. "You just gave me the map to your professional and personal destruction, Marcus." Working late, while Marcus was presumably relaxing in my high-rent apartment, I went through his Riverfront Plaza plans, line by line. Alex was the lead on the foundation. Within hours, I found it, an egregious miscalculation in the structural load bearing for the underground parking garage, a mistake that would necessitate a $5 million redesign if construction began. Marcus and Alex had missed a fatal error. Ruse. Using a professional management company I hired through Mr. Jenkins, I sent a formal certified letter to Marcus Thorne, tenant of Unit 19B. The letter detailed the impending necessary major capital improvements to the building's facade and elevator systems, citing the exact clause in his lease. The improvements were cosmetic, but legally qualified. Marcus called the management company immediately, not Mr. Jenkins. He was furious about the vague language, demanding to speak to the idiot running the building. He complained loudly to his colleague about petty landlords. He never considered the possibility of a connection. He simply dismissed the notice as a minor annoyance, signing off with a sigh and promising to fight the increase later. I didn't tell Marcus about the $5 million flaw. I scheduled a private meeting with Ms. Albright, a VP known for her sharp mind and fair leadership. I presented the finding with cold professionalism. I found this while looking for extra work to justify my reduced salary, I explained. I made my pay cut the reason for my heroic discovery, not the result of my desperation. Ms. Albright validated the structural flaw within the hour. She didn't just praise me, she was livid at the incompetence of the strategy team. Marcus and Alex were immediately pulled from the Riverfront project. I was publicly recognized in a small internal memo for my vigilant contribution to project integrity. My stock at work soared, while Marcus's reputation began to hemorrhage. Mr. Jenkins's firm delivered the final documentation. Because of the building's recent sales data and the legally recognized capital improvements, the market survey justified a stunning 110% rent increase for Unit 19B. I had my number. It was aggressive, legal, and guaranteed to cause maximum financial distress. The certified, registered letter arrived at Marcus's office desk. It was a formal notice of rent adjustment, informing him the new rate would take effect in 60 days. The number was exactly double what he was currently paying. I watched him from my cubicle as he opened it. The blood drained from his face as he stared at the figure, realizing his luxurious life was instantly unsustainable. Marcus began spending half his days on secretive phone calls in the office parking garage. His lavish lifestyle, the sports car, the weekend trips, was built on the expectation of his inflated salary. The rent hike was a bomb under his entire financial structure. He was showing up to work haggard, jumpy, and increasingly erratic. Marcus, in a desperate attempt to assert control, tried to issue a disciplinary warning against me, citing a fabricated error. Ms. Albright intercepted the form, tore it up, and called him into her office, where she pointedly reminded him that the company now considered me indispensable. He walked out a defeated man. The next day, a formal email landed in the secure landlord inbox I had set up. It was from Marcus, begging for a meeting to negotiate the unsustainable terms. He offered a small concession. He'd buy the building a new coffee machine. He signed it with his full name, Marcus Thorne, Director of Strategy. I smiled. I had him begging, clueless to the identity of his executioner. I used my knowledge of the building to find a slightly smaller, less expensive unit. I sent an anonymous email to Alex advertising the smaller unit, priced exactly at the new doubled rate of Unit 19 billions. My message was clear. This is what you have to pay now. I wanted the fear to spread to Marcus's remaining allies. Marcus, now terrified of losing his prestige apartment, hired a high-powered real estate broker to fight the eviction. The broker, after consulting with Mr. Jenkins, reported back to Marcus, the new landlord is airtight. The increase is legally justified by the lease clause. You have 30 days to sign the new lease or vacate the premises. The pressure became too much. The lack of control over his life and the mounting financial disaster broke him. Marcus resigned abruptly, citing personal family reasons before Ms. Albright could finish the formal termination process. He sacrificed his career to try and salvage his home, having no idea he was fighting a war on two fronts, orchestrated by the same person. The day after Marcus resigned, he received the final, devastating email. It was a single line from the secure landlord account, instructing him to contact the property owner's personal representative for final settlement. The representative's name was printed clearly beneath the contact details, Chloe Vance. He stared at my name, the pieces finally clicking into a picture of absolute terrifying personal ruin. I walked past Marcus's old, empty office, the air feeling lighter for the first time in months. Miss Albright called me in and offered me Marcus's title and a substantial salary increase, officially reversing the cut and adding a bonus for the riverfront save. I accepted the salary increase, securing my mother's care immediately, but I put off accepting the title. Marcus was forced to meet with me, Chloe Vance, the landlord, in Mr. Jenkins's sterile office to finalize his exit. He was a shell of his former arrogant self. He tried to stammer an apology for the salary cut, for everything. I didn't let him. My voice was calm, utterly professional, and devoid of emotion. This conversation is strictly about the lease, Mr. Thorne. I accept your notice to vacate. Your security deposit will be returned after the full move-to-out inspection. I gave him no audience for his shame, only the cold, hard reality of his contract. I didn't stay to take Marcus's job. 2 weeks later, I accepted an offer from a rival firm, a director title and a salary package that blew his old one out of the water. I sold Unit 19 Billions at a massive profit. My mother was thriving. I stood on the balcony of my new, beautifully renovated apartment, looking out over the city that I now had a true piece of. I deleted the company email, feeling a final, clean severance. He cut my salary in half because he thought I was small and desperate. I didn't just double his rent, I doubled my worth and proved that true power isn't in a title you steal, but in the foundation you own.